good. So when people try to introduce dogs themselves, typically it's my dog came out, right? This is not healthy. It's too confrontational. So like humans, we say, hi, how are you? Dogs, they go nose to butt, okay? So here, to avoid that confrontation, what I do is, because we want him to open up and trust, right, is we build relationships as humans by doing activities together, right? You can go for a walk together, go to shopping, go to a restaurant, go to the movies, go to the bar, like we do lots and lots of stuff together, right? To build a friendship or build a relationship. Dogs don't, right? They don't play video games, they don't read books, you know, they do a very small amount of things. They would hunt, they could, they walk, they rest, they play, they use the bathroom, they eat, and like maybe one or two other things, right? So 3 activities build relationships with dogs: walking, resting, and playing, okay? Playing is when they're already comfortable with each other, so too soon for that. Resting, well, they're not tired right now, so then we do walking, okay? And when we do the walking, she's already done this before, but I always like to do this distance, and then we close the gap. So it's going to be dog, person, person, dog, okay? And then we just walk. And as we're walking, we're going to start to bring the dogs in closer until it's person, dog, dog, person. And then after we walk for a bit, we'll test out if he'll smell Elsa and if Elsa will smell him and how they feel about it. So Ollie, I think you met Ollie. I'm pretty sure he was here that day with the 4 because it was Mac, Elsa, Gilmore. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was there. But you know, she's done it several times. I think she's done it with me at least 5, and then I think she did one on her own. And then she came to my facility on Monday or Tuesday, Friday. Sorry, these days melt together now. And he was coexisting with another dog, like loose, and he was like relaxed, and the dog was coming and sniffing him and like licking his face and like rolling over. He was sniffing, he was right, he was loose, right? So he's progressed very quickly because he was already sociable. It's just the anxiety and the stress of being outside doesn't make him sociable right off the bat. He needs a little bit more work, right? So the idea here is I'm going to teach you how to do this exercise. It's very simple, and then you just repeat it. And I think now you're in the group, right? So one, like Kate's in the group as well, is she's been organizing like with Coda, and she's done a couple of walks with them, and they're like tomorrow they're gonna go to the next level. You know, so it's the same thing. So if you have a dog that you repeat this with, you're much more likely to build comfort. Okay, but if it's one time with like 100 dogs, it's gonna be a bit because it's 100 different dogs, right? So if you have friends that have the dogs and stuff, you repeat this exercise, and then maybe the first time it doesn't go well, it's okay. You just keep repeating it, okay? And then eventually, maybe on the 20th time, Starfox goes like, "Oh, cool, like I like you," and then you see him like wag his tail when he sees the dog. That means he's now comfortable. Now, just because he's comfortable doesn't mean he'll be comfortable with everything. Okay? So like let's say you have a friend, a new friend, they come over right to your house, and then they just start looking in your fridge. Okay? It might be like we're cool, but we're not that cool. You know what I mean? But you might have friends who can't do that. You know, like I got buddies that I've known for a long time, they can go in my fridge, I don't care. But I have friends that'd be like, that's a little too comfortable, right? So same thing for dogs. So there's different contexts, and I'll educate you as best I can on those different contexts. So like if I had Starfox with my dogs and they were playing and everything was fine, but then my dog was at my feet, I would assume if Starfox came here, my dog wouldn't like that. Okay, because now he's coming into our space and they're being territorial. It's normal. Okay, so knowing that, I try to be proactive and either stop it so we don't get an escalation, or I correct it so that nothing happens. Okay, or I prevent him from coming into my space. There's a lot of different answers. Okay, so we're gonna go and start walking. We're gonna go down this path here. We're just gonna go walk around the park. A walk around the park. You have your dogs in heel. Behind you. She's like, oh, one of these things again. Would you have Elsa on your right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then, or is he on your right?
Yeah, I just want to double check.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm sorry. You can keep her on the left. Because she walks him on the right. So it's a pretty good snug, and then you have the secure to you. Okay, that should be fine. Okay. Has she tried to remove it again?
Very briefly.
Okay. Okay, cool. So we should be fine. So yeah, you can keep her on your left. We're gonna go down. I'm gonna start walking, and I'll explain the process. Okay?
Okay. Where are we walking?
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Yep. Go ahead and bring Starfox. And you guys are gonna walk side by side. Okay? Keep moving. Oh, I had somebody. I was with a client.
That's like my go-to. I'm like, nope.
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, absolutely. But we had a client here. They had the dog had a muzzle, and someone just walked up like, "Oh, can my dog say hi?" And I went, "No," and they were just like, "Okay, right." The dog was muzzled. I'm like, what point of a muzzled dog makes you think like this is the dog we socialize with?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
When I asked Pet Coda, and they're like, where? And I'm like, we're training right now. He's like, can I take a picture of him? And he had a muzzle.
Yeah, it's just my dog. Let me go back here. So, now this doesn't seem like much. The dogs are very simple animals. Dogs are very simple animals. People want to jump to like the ending conclusion of I want my dog to play, right? And I'm not saying that won't happen, but it might take, a few reps. Watch this, right? So like if things go south, the reason why we do it this way is because if I see any tension, so as we start to close this gap, you may notice like maybe Starfox's hackles go up, Elsa's hackles go up, right? What does that tell us? They're nervous, they're stressed, they're not liking something about the situation, right? But then if you keep them within that situation, they're learning that there's nothing to be tense about, okay? So the lip licking, the hackles, it's not anything bad. It's communication, and it's telling you that whatever's happening at that moment is making them uncomfortable, okay? You might come a little closer so that she can,
Oh, sorry.
there we go. If, let's say, when we bring like Elsa in next to Starfox, right? And you see Starfox start to like put his hackles. Have you seen those, the hackles? It's like the mohawk on the back. Yeah. So the hackles just say like, I don't like what's going on right now. And it's not anything bad, it's just telling you how Starfox is feeling in the moment. I go, what happens next? So if his hackles go up, then he starts growling, and then he starts lunging, and then we know hackles means escalation. So then if I see the hackles, I remote that, and I correct it. So, and we would keep them in the moment to see if it goes away. So most people, when they see the aggression, want to remove, but then the last thing the dog remembers is I was being aggressive, and I got away from the situation, and that might be rewarding to the dog that they'll keep doing that, right? So if you put the hackles up, as long as it doesn't escalate, I don't need to correct. I just keep walking. And then 10 minutes might go by, and then the hackles go away, because now he's comfortable, okay? So if that doesn't happen, not a big deal, then I just may keep walking and walking to see will it resolve itself, or then I might try the task to see if it'll de-escalate. Okay? There's no right or wrong. It's just like how is it going to work for that particular dog? Okay? And like let's say we try to get Starfox and Elsa at the end to like smell each other. and maybe Elsa's fine with it, but then Starfox starts to lunge and bark when she sniffs him. So then we go, oh, he didn't like that. It was too soon for him. Then I go, no problem. We correct it. We leave them together for a little bit so he learns that he's not going to get away from Elsa. And then we go, see you next time. Right? Then the next time you repeat it, maybe he does it again. He lunges and barks when she tries to sniff him. And then you do it 5 more times. And then on the finally the 7th time or whatever, he lets Elsa sniff him and he doesn't become reactive. Because now you've built up enough trust and you've done enough corrections to teach him, look, you're not going to get away with that. But then he's seen her enough times so he's opening up and saying like, oh, okay, like you've never done anything negative to me. So there's nothing really warranting my reactivity.
Do you do the walk progression each time? Like each time you meet up with the dog, the photo will do like the same progression?
Correct. Now, what happens is the progression is faster, right? So like, let's say when Elsa sees Coda, like she's wagging her tail, and she's like, you see her, and she's like, wow, she looks like happy to see Coda. But then you see Coda, and he's like, bleh, right? And so she may be ready, but he's not ready, right? So then you keep repeating it, and then you already know she's in the clear. Now we got to work on Coda. And then when you see him in the clear, then it's not we're doing the walk all the time, and then it comes to the point where you can kind of just come into the socialization aspect of it because you've already been like trust and all that stuff too.
I'm used to being like.
You can just push her.
Yeah, just push me out of the way. I'm used to like hugging the sidewalk with the whisper.
Once you start to see the comfort and and or like opening up to each other, you end up, that's what's skipping. It's just you're progressing faster.
Okay.
And then eventually they see each other, and then right off the bat they can say hi to each other, you know, because you've done all the precursor work.
Right.
And what can happen is if you do this with more and more dogs, is they themselves start to open up more quickly. Because when you expand the social bubble, one dog, then the next one is typically easier and easier. Then it's working on the different energies. So Starfox or Elsa could be fine with a calm dog, but then if you bring in like a puppy type energy, that might take longer for them to get acclimated to because it's puppy energy, and also dogs correct puppies, right? So what seems like aggression to us can simply be a correction to the dog going like, I don't like that kind of energy, you need to be more mindful around me. But people misread that stuff, you know, so that's a factor as well. So it's always easiest to socialize with a calmer energy first, and then more excited, ready to play puppy type energy is harder. Okay. What we'll do here is on this turn, we'll go ahead and bring the Starfox in on your left side. So then it'll be you, Starfox, Kate, and Elsa. There you go. Good. So now we're just bringing them a little bit closer. So when we make these changes, I look at the dogs, I go, is there any tension here? Is there anything that you don't like? Looking at the hackles, his ears are back, his mouth is open, his tail is down. Elsa, ears back, tail down, mouth open, right? So nothing here. So then we get them comfortable with being next to each other this close, okay? We're gonna walk some more. Then we're gonna bring Elsa on the inside. Now that they're gonna be side by side, we're gonna walk some more, okay? So little by little, we're just bringing them in with each other. And you can shorten your leash a little bit. There you go. So you're more side by side. There you go. That's better. Good. Questions about this so far?
It's just trying to leave her.
It's okay. So what you can do here, because typically you would turn, right? Is because you can't turn here because we're going for a walk with each other, is go in and give a little bit of tension back and cap. There you go. And then forward. There you go. Tap. Tap. You're at What number you're at?
30.
Let's go to 34.
So, what time is your appointment? 3:30. I would offer to go with you guys if I should be okay now.
That's better. There you go. Yeah, so this is another approach. Like if you're walking with someone, you can't do your training turn. Is you just bump it and you lightly pull back and tap them. That's my least favorite thing to do. Okay, but I do it like in this kind of moment. Otherwise, constantly stopping and like, hold on, I'll be back, right?
Yeah.
And like, sure, go ahead. We'll do a little break here.
Okay.
But this is fine for this kind of stuff.
I also want to too much crowding, like his neck, like when I
Sure.
muzzle, regular collar, and like prong collar, it feels like a lot.
Yeah.
But whenever like go for a walk and I just like without having him on the heel, it's like it moves so much when he just like he starts choking himself.
Sure.
I'm not sure, like I'm kind of like
So you're trying to go from using the prong and the e-collar to using the e-collar.
yeah.
Yeah. So then you just raise your number. But is he on free time or is he?
On the free time, he just like.
Oh yeah. So technically that's okay because he's not under command.
Okay.
That's why I tell people your dog's either pulling or they're not pulling, right? He's either under command or not under command. So is he when he's on the free time? Is it like a potty break?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like right before, like usually like when we go out, like first couple of minutes, he's on free, like does whatever he needs, like goes to go potty, like slip around, and then go just.
Sure. So as long as he's not on break, it's not going to affect your training. It's fine. But for me, anytime I'm with the dog, unless they're on break, they're always in the heel. You know, because it's either they're doing one or the other. Some dogs are capable of walking and not pulling, but it's either because they're really old or they just don't care about anything. Right? Most dogs, I want to sniff this, I'm going to sniff that, I'm going to do this, and that, I'm going to put here, right? I'm going to do that. That all those things pull. Whereas dogs that don't care about stuff is kind of like, all right, they're just like meandering, right? So it's not that they're trained well, it's just that they don't care about stuff. So that's normal. Otherwise, I understand that not wanting to have a lot of crap on them. If the prong helps when he's on the break, like it's not bad. I get dogs that have choke chain with the prong collar, with the e-collar, with the muzzle, with the black collar, So I completely get it. So it's either or, but technically it won't affect your obedience if you say break is pulling, like. Okay. Any other questions?
Time martial art.
Okay. So continue with the walk. Oh really?
I feel like she's always like,
Self-conscious. He's like, I look like Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, she gets more positive than I don't know.
He's very.
Sell it on eBay.
Yeah.
You see the toy?
Oh, that toy?
Yeah, you can get it, clean it, sell it on eBay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it normal for like a dog to like really stick and just have a
Yeah, because it's, they're not meant to have these things. That's why, like for Elsa, because you had done the counter conditioning, right? Food stuff. So more often than not, when you put the muzzle on the dog, they lock up or they fight the muzzle, even if you do the training prior. So then we do what I call force conditioning, which is we have to use the e-collar to teach them to stop fighting the muzzle. Okay? And then once you get them over that, the tension goes away because it's taking away the primary source of defense, their mouth. So it's normal. The best way to get them over it is just to walk them with the muzzle because it just becomes something else that they wear. Okay? And then they don't care about it. Or it's much easier to address. Because then when you put them in a stressful situation, that's where you're definitely going to see the trying to remove the muzzle because he's like, now I can't defend myself. So then you have to counter that with the e-collar. Yeah, it's super common. But walking them with the muzzle is like one of the best. And for me, walking the dog is the best way to kind of get them over anything. You know, discomfort around another dog, discomfort around a new person, discomfort with a new object. It's just walking. I don't move. I had a guy who was bicycling behind me, and I had my headphones on. And he came around, he started yelling at me. He's like, you know, should I have headphones on? He was behind you. I'm like, fuck you, you're not supposed to be on the sidewalk. I'm like, you're supposed to, law says you're supposed to be on the street, you know? And then, like, he was grabbing a bus, so he stopped at the bus stop. And I kept pitching on him. Like
when a dog has to sit with her, yeah.
I was like, I'm not expecting a bicyclist to be behind me on a sidewalk. So, you know, don't tell me I can't have my headphones on.
Australian Shepherd? Yeah, so.
When you try to introduce him in the past, going to Starfox, is it kind of like he's just in the situation?
When we first adopted him, we were like in the first
Right.
and then like we took them outside for like a walk and then took them to a home so they were totally fine. We didn't know he would be like, you know, reactive. Like they played together, they slept and they were like best friends and they were like everything.
Yeah.
But sometimes like in the beginning when we were out, we like can they sniff each other? I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. And then like they'll sniff and a couple seconds later they'll start like lunging and barking.
Yeah.
And it's different because like sometimes it would be okay, sometimes it would be like reactive. I didn't know like when it was okay and when it was like okay, so I just like stopped like letting him sniff other dogs like at all. So
Right.
we're like putting that outside.
Some dogs are capable of it, like the ones that are very non-threatening. And just like love everyone and everything, right? Most dogs don't like it. There's some dogs like it. So, like my dogs will tolerate it, and it's correct them and all that stuff, but they don't like it. So if someone asks me, well, my dog or your dog, I just don't know. You know? My dog doesn't enjoy it. You know?
It looks like he really wants to play with that dog. He like starts wagging his tail, crying, like wanting to go and play with them. But you know, after that, like he gets like overwhelmed and then just like
Yeah, so what can happen is if there's too much overstimulation or overexcitement, it quickly becomes or transitions to like aggression or an aggressive response, right? So like I had a client, their dog was nervous and her sister came over and the dog loves her sister and she was petting the dog and then she was in the dog's face and then all of a sudden he snapped at her. Okay, and he'd never done that before. So they asked me like, why did that happen? And I was like, well, you know, tell me the scenario. Was she wandering over here?
His nose, yeah, was going to his nose.
Okay, and actually we can bring him in on the, bring us on the inside.
So what you want?
So here,
right?
yeah, Starfox.
what we're gonna do here is we're gonna prevent any face-to-face stuff. Okay. So if he starts to turn his head at her face, you would pull him in and correct him. Because face-to-face can be very confrontational. And going to shorten your leash just a little bit more. There you go. And just so that gives you more immediate leverage. Yeah, now we're just watching here, okay? Because that face-to-face for dogs is very difficult. Okay, and I'm looking here. He did one side glance, but his mouth is still open, his ears are back, his tackles are down. Alpha's doing the same thing. So, and then we're just slowly getting acclimated, okay? So going to that client, the reason why the dog snapped was at first he was excited. He wasn't happy, he was excited. And she was petting him, but then that excitement like goes away. And like the brain starts to calm down, and then he realized like, holy crap, you're in my face. And then he snapped. And it happened again with that very same dog where they met their friends in the street, and he was happy to see everybody, and everybody was in his face. And then when all that excitement wore off, he snapped at them. And I told him it's because it's like a quick little honeymoon phase, right? Where he's like, oh, this is great, I love everybody. Then it kind of wears away, and he's like, holy crap, you're in my space, I don't like it, back away. Okay, so that can happen with, here with Starfox. Is in the beginning, he's like, oh wow, this is great, good dog, da, da, da. And all of a sudden it's like, nah, you're too close to me, my own. Okay, so that's why when we're doing this activity here is, building a friendship. And he's learning I can coexist with Elsa, and we don't have to smell each other. We don't have to interact. Okay, and that builds the comfort. And then we just slowly we're pushing it each time. The longer the walks, the better. So if I can do like a 45-minute to an hour one, Elsa snuck the whip right there.
Elsa?
Yeah.
Oh, in a good way?
Yeah, well, she was sniffing his rear there. So we'll watch. We'll clear through this.
Yeah. Thank you, girl.
We'll make it back here.
Yeah, I realize like usually when you meet dogs outside, it's okay maybe like sniffing like the front, and whenever the dog starts to go to a rear end,
It snapped, yeah. So that can be a nervous response.
okay.
Antisocial. Like sometimes the dogs will do that, or they'll put their butt down, or they'll sit, right? So it's kind of like if someone goes to shake your hand and you don't shake your hand back, you just like ignore them.
Okay.
It's rude, right? It's antisocial. So for Starfox, he's just being defensive. We'll take a break once we come up to the front in the shade here. Is now that we have the e-collar, we would correct that.
Okay.
But then you would repeat this. You would keep going, okay? Because then if you end it there, the last thing he remembers is I snapped and I got what I wanted. Okay? So, and the more you do it, the more comfortable he gets that eventually he's like, okay, I trust you. You can, sniff or whatever.
Okay.
We will go ahead and step aside, I guess, right here in this little patch of grass. I'm going to give Elsa some water.
Sneaky.
Right, you see like his ears are back, his mouth is open. So all this is relaxed state. Okay. So then when we start to do the sniffing part, we start to watch his body language. Does his mouth close up? Or does his hackles go up? Does his tail go up?
I don't have water first.
I have some if you have a bowl.
I feel like she's just like great stuff.
She's like, muzzle it and you forgot my water. She's like, that's not Don Prairie Dairy.
Yeah.
No? He can, like technically he can, whether or not he will, because like you said, because of comfort is different.
I don't think yeah. There you go.
She's like drinking water from hands. What am I? An animal?
Come on. Well, that was enough. Girl, they'll cool you off.
Oh, he won't drink it, you said, right? So So we'll give them a minute to rest here. And then we'll do a little bit more of the walk, right? So it's a slow process. Now in the beginning, like the first walk, if you can, I always go longer. So like let's say you walk for 2 blocks one way, right? Dog, person, dog. Then the next 2 blocks, you know, dog, person, dog, and then it's for a couple blocks, and then person, dog, person. Okay. And then as we're walking, we can also go into the sniffing, where like the person will go in front, and then like you go in behind with Starfox. So then as there's one sniffing as they're moving, and we're looking for any signs, like sometimes they'll look back or like they'll turn around or whatever, correct it, we keep moving. And the reason why we do the motion is because dogs only do one thing at a time, right? So they're either going to be trying to fight, like, hey, back away from my rear end, or they're going to keep walking, right? And because we have the remote, if we keep moving, they have to redirect, okay? We try that a few times. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Then we flip. We go to, you know, it would be Starfox in the front, and then Elsie's going to come from behind, see if she can sniff him, see how he feels about it. So if he's walking and Elsa goes to sniff him and he doesn't care about it, that's good. Okay, that's comfort. And then we come to a stop. Then we kind of like do something like this. We let them just kind of coexist for a minute. And then I'll show you how we do the force sniff, because then we hold them in place and bring the dog to see in case they try to do something. They, since we're holding them, we can prevent that from happening and we can correct it. Okay. And then it's like as she mentioned earlier, she asked, does it always have to be this long process? And I go, as you see more comfort, that process starts to get shorter because you've already done the bulk of the work. Then it's one day he sees the dog, you know, like maybe one day he snapped at before and you did all this stuff, and then one day he's like, oh cool, we're friends now. And then right off the bat, like they're fine with each other. But remember, like people, like I get in fights with my friends, you know, but we don't bite each other because we're humans. Okay? That dogs can still get into fights. Okay, they can still have disagreements, they can still have arguments, stuff like that. So if that happens, I correct them, I stop the fight, and then they have to coexist. Okay, because even, you know, I have clients right now whose dogs, you know, they lived together for years, and then they got in a fight, and then it became another fight, and it became fights like more and more in the home. So now they couldn't even see each other without there being fighting separate. So now that we're fixing that, and I'll tell them, like, once it's triggered, once there's that tension, like, you have to have control all the time because it will happen again, you know. And I've had plenty of clients I've helped with that had dogs fighting in the home, and then 2 years go by and everything's great, and then fight, and then the fights trigger again because they got complacent. They were easing up on things because they thought, you know, it was back to normal. Like, it doesn't really ever go back to normal. You know, it's like, I mean, it's like now, right, with COVID, things will go back to like a normal, but not like the previous normal, most likely, because things have changed. Same thing for the dogs. Once something changes, unless you're being proactive about like, nope, that's not going to happen again, if led to their own, you know, devices and choices, it's going to happen. Okay? Because dogs aren't like humans. They don't think to the degree that we do. But what makes it easier is that you call the shots. So it's like, yeah, you're not going to do that behavior. They're not. But then you have to always be that person that's like, yeah, you're not going to get away with that. And you're constantly reinforcing things.
Yeah.
So, okay.
With my room, her paw will go right up to the carpet and like she'll try, and I'll be like no, and then she'll bring it back, and it's always like as close to the carpet as she can get.
Wow.
I'll show you a
That's
picture.
funny,
It's
right?
really cute.
Well, my Pitty, when she was a puppy, because you guys know place command, right? Go to a bed and don't move.
Yeah.
Is when I taught her when she was a puppy, I would leave and come back, and she'd have one foot on the bed, and she'd be like this. So dogs, they're real smart. They'll like place some boundaries there.
Yeah.
I've only ever had one other dog that did that, and it was also a Pitty that I trained, and she's like, hey, you know, he did that thing that your Pitty did when she was a puppy, where it's just like one little foot and the rest of the body was off. So.
Yeah, she does similar stuff.
So we'll start the walk again. We're going to bring them back in, so it'll be person, dog, person. We'll walk for a bit more. We'll try the sniffing. And then from there, we'll go into another break and like let them coexist and see what happens.
Okay,
Okay?
cool. You usually have them on your right?
Yeah.
Okay. Shoot.
I can go on this. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Dinner. tail. I don't know if you saw that interaction there. He was facing towards her. He got a little excited. She, I think, tapped him. And then right after that happened, Elsa's tail went up. And then has been like waving since, so we'll keep an eye on that.
Which means what?
It just, so wagging tail doesn't always mean happy,
Okay, yeah.
but it means something's on the mind.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's really going.
So I just keep an eye on it. And it could be like, you know, it's like excitement to like greet, or it can be like, hey, come put your face in your mind and see what happens. But I just ride that out. Okay?
I actually didn't tap him. I think he thought I would tap him.
Be redirected? Yeah.
He does that sometimes. And when he knows he does something wrong, he just like
He,
gives a reaction like I tapped him, but I didn't like before I even tapped him. Because he knows he's gonna get tapped.
Sure. So when I do this stuff, I like right now, like I'm walking very awkwardly because I'm watching the two of these two. Is when you're walking with them with your friend, you know, because we know that there may be an issue. Is I'm just watching them, looking for any signs, so that way I can always correct them and be a step ahead, so that if something happens, we'll know. Right there. So Elsa went from open mouth to closed mouth right when he was next to her.
Okay.
Okay, now it's open again.
Okay.
Okay, so him getting that close to her made her uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right? So the reason why I saw that was because, well, from my angle, it was easier to see.
Yeah.
But because I'm being mindful and watching these two, because I know I got 2 dogs here that have socialization and stuff that we're working through.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell if I saw a lip curl.
I know.
Yeah. I think it was just the way her mouth closed. We'll keep moving. I'm just all over the place because I'm trying to watch all this. He's fine. Yeah, she's got a little bit of a concerned look on her face, but otherwise fine. Oh.
Yeah, their muzzles touch.
Their muzzles.
So go ahead and bring them back here on the sidewalk.
Okay.
And what we're gonna do is we'll see if we'll bring Elsa in front and bring
In front?
Starfox from behind to see if we
Okay.
can get a sniff going.
Okay. Come here.
So she's gonna, there you go.
No, he don't.
Just keep moving. And then yeah, use your leash a little bit to direct them, see if he has any interest. Other than the squirrel. Yeah, keep moving. There you go.
Do I tap her?
Keep going, tap. Yep.
I tap her if she does that?
That was good, yep. And you just keep that momentum.
So she turns back, I tap her, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
tap and move forward
Okay.
to redirect her like, hey, we're still moving. Okay, and going to slow down a little with Elsa so we can come in with, there we go, keep moving, keep moving.
When do I tap?
Tap forward, there you go. So you're trying to keep her on your hip.
Okay.
Okay, so she should be walking with you like that and just allowing the sniffing.
Okay.
So nothing should change on her part really.
Okay.
You know, if she shows some interest, like, it's like she's walking with you, but kind of like that's a little bit better.
So how much of her turning should I tap? Like if she's turning a little bit or?
I would probably tap for just any little thing.
Okay.
Like this was better. Yeah, see how she stalls a bit when she's moved? There you go. Very good. We're gonna try one more, then we're gonna reverse, okay? We're gonna bring Elsa in the Starfox. Alright, good. There you go, that's fine. Good, and we're gonna go to side by side for a second. Good. So the reason for repeating that is so Elsa doesn't think it's Starfox's presence that's causing the tap.
Okay.
Okay? Because in the beginning she might be thinking every time he comes to my rear, I get tapped. But it's not because of Starfox, it's because she's stalling.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, that makes sense.
We'll cut here. And we got a dog coming with a runner on the left here. said he might consider.
The behavior thing when their ears flip, is that a thing or no?
What do you mean? Like
Like is it issues and other well, I feel like I read that somewhere.
I've not seen ear flipping. I mean, definitely placement.
Yeah.
Like if it's oh, that right there. Yep. Good. You know, up the way they're postured.
Yeah.
But I've not seen a dog flip like their ear inside out. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
All right. So now we're gonna go ahead and bring Starfox in front. Good. And then yeah, you're gonna keep that pace and then come up with Elsa. And because you know something might happen with Starfox, just be ready. If he does anything, you up and tap. Okay. Pull up and tap. He's already looking to the side. Tap forward. There you go.
Right?
Yep, tap forward, good. Shorten your leash a little bit for Starfox. There you go, better. So you have immediate control.
Should I decrease or like leave it as is?
You're okay because he's responding to it.
Okay.
Let's keep trying. All right, go ahead and bring him side by side. Yep, forward. There we go. We're gonna walk and then once we come up to the shade, we're gonna give him a break, okay?
Okay.
So, what I saw, like also not very interested, right?
Yeah.
But for Starfox, even though she wasn't actively smelling him, it was making him uncomfortable because he kept looking around. And after the second correction, he was fine with it. He just sniffed her face again.
What? I know.
Good. And then we'll set the side right. Very good. And we'll slow to stop. Good. All right. So what we'll do here is we do the reverse exercise. Enrique here's gonna take the pups. Guys, keep your remote. And these, I don't think we did last time with the walking backward stuff. I don't think so, right? So I'll show you the next step of getting coexistence here is getting them to be more loose around each other, and Enrique is going to demonstrate that. Okay? Don't screw up. So you see how he chokes up on the leash there? Because he wants that immediate control to direct them, but also when things go south, if he pulls up right away, he's going to have that immediate connection with them. Whenever you're ready, Enrique. Good. So the reason why he's moving backwards is because it allows you to get the dogs to move, but then also still be able to see them clearly. They clearly have attachment issues. They don't want to, yeah, you see how they keep looking at you guys? Right.
Just keep it side by side.
I would try to go for the sniffing. Yeah, these guys, they're so attached to the two of you. It's really awkward. But typically this is a lot more like loose and not so, see how like they stop and they get kind of rigid and no, it's just them getting used, there we go. Them getting used to being away from you guys. Right, good. And then try Elsa to Starfox. Right. Good, go ahead and turn. I think her lips getting caught on the inside of the muzzle. Good, and then go ahead and just come to a stop right there. Okay. So you see how Starfox immediately positioned himself and is looking at Elsa? What does that tell you? Huh? Not so much tense, but uncomfortable. So he's either looking this way because of you, or he's looking this way because he doesn't want Elsa behind him. Okay? Go ahead and bring try to bring Elsa on the inside. Between your, yeah. There you go. And a little bit closer. A little bit closer. Right there. That's fine. Right there. Watch right there. Watch right there. See that look? Okay. Now, did you see how awkward that looked for Enrique to get Elsa to come closer to Starfox? Yeah. So what's that tell us? They're not comfortable. Yeah. She was like, I really don't want to go that way. Okay. Now, she wasn't resisting terribly. But that whole like locking up and not wanting to move next to him is because she's not 100% comfortable. Even the way she's sitting, like she's kind of up and like away a bit. Can you see that? And like she's not looking at him, right? She's kind of avoiding that like this dog right here. That's all normal stuff, okay? Because if they've not been close to another dog or a dog that they're not familiar with, you're gonna get that awkwardness in the beginning, okay? So being social, just like with humans, is a muscle. So like quarantine, I'm sure is gonna make a lot of people like antisocial, like they're not gonna know how to interact. Yeah. Me, I talk to people every day, all day. That's why I'm just like, I can shoot the shit with anybody, okay? But before I was a dog trainer, I was actually like super, like I'm an introvert. I wasn't like go up to anybody type of person, right? I'm still not that type of person, but being a business owner and having to interact with my clients and customers has made me seem very, very social, right? So it's the same thing for these guys. So then the more we do this, we should start to see, again, that comfort, the wagging of the tail, the looseness, the not so awkwardness, the kind of just willingly putting each other next to each other is when you start to see like, oh wow, like now they're starting to warm up, okay? So this doesn't seem like much, okay? But it starts here. Because then they're like, oh cool, like I can be next to a dog if I've just met and not like worry about is the dog going to be aggressive or is there going to be any kind of negative experience or whatever. I'm not forced to have to, we did force it, but like not always forcing the sniffing, so it's kind of like they just do it on their own. It's okay.
That's fine, right?
It's okay. But she was, I think, more so looking that way because of the squirrel.
I think she was like by his neck.
Yeah, when I saw, because there's a squirrel that ran by. It's right there. You see it?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so he was looking at the squirrel, and I think she was like looking at it too. Okay. But that tap is okay. Okay? Because you were just like, right?
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Okay.
And then she just took it, turned away, and she's relaxed again. Okay? So that, yeah, that's fine.
Instinct.
Yes. Because you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
This is not going to always go perfect. It doesn't go perfect for us. But for us, we know we correct it, we move on.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, again, with Mac and Gilmore.
Right.
We were trying to take a picture. Dog behind you there. We're trying to take a picture. That happened. We corrected it. And we took the picture.
Yeah.
Right? And I think Kendall, who had Gilmore, jokingly said like, oh, we're just going to go back to take the picture. I'm like, yes, we are.
Yeah.
Right? We're not going to stop what we were doing
Right.
because we had a negative experience. Okay? And that's what the dogs pick up on. They're like, okay, I can try to get away with shit, but you're not going to allow it. And I end up going back into that situation again. Okay? Questions about this so far?
It looks more relaxed, I think.
Yeah. And like, what do you think would be the next stage of relaxation from this?
Laying down.
Yes.
Okay.
She lays down, and then Starfox goes like, all right, cool, I'm going to lay down too. And they just chill with each other. Now it's that resting state activity that I mentioned earlier, right? Because we have walking, resting, and playing, okay? Play comes when there's trust. So the walking helps build that trust. Resting together also builds trust because it's just an activity. So like when I get dogs that don't like people, one, if someone will walk them, that'll help because again, that activity. Or two, I'll just have the dog rest at someone's feet or rest beside them as they watch TV. And then that, because now they're like, the dog's like, okay, cool, like I hang out and chill with you, everything's okay. But I don't pet them or anything. Like they're not ready for that yet. It's just we're having to coexist with each other.
Right.
Okay? So like here, we're coexisting right now. There's lots of people here, but we're not all up in their business going like, hey, who are you? Hi, I'm Kate. Hi, I'm Andrea. Hi, I'm Jesse, right? It's like, but this is social. Okay? Social doesn't mean you have to interact. It just means we coexist and we're not being jerks to each other. Okay? And then it potentially builds to other stuff. Questions?
I shouldn't be like trying to like socialize with the dogs outside or just passerbys.
So I wouldn't worry about those. Okay? Because remember, like I always say, that's not fully realistic. Some dogs, yes, are capable. Okay? And I'm not saying you can't try it because it seems like you've had some success in the past, correct? It's just now you have a tool that you would correct those negative responses, but then you'd have to force the issue. The problem you may have is the person that you meet goes, oh my God, what did you do to your dog? You see, now that's the awkwardness, right? Because they're like, that's why I have the group. Because with the group, they're doing the same stuff, and if they have to correct, no one's going to judge. And they will repeat the exercise. And I've had it happen with people where I had someone that they were trying to socialize their dog with a human, and the dog like started growling, and they remoted them, and the person was like, oh my God, you're an asshole, and like walked away. You know? So that's I'm just letting you know of what could happen. I'm not against it, okay? But technically, if he tries something, you correct it, you have to keep the situation going. But then if the person leaves, it just kind of leaves you at that square one, like, well, that didn't help either. Okay?
And those walks are like once a week on Saturdays?
The Saturday, yeah, it's once a week. Saturday mornings, 8 a.m., weather pending. We'll go as long as we can because weather's changing, obviously. Also, just depends on how many people show up. I've had times, previous years where I'll go there and, like, no one's there. So then I'm like, I could have slept in another hour. But as long as people are showing up, I'm more than happy, even if it's just 2 people. Like, I show up, I'm like, I'm happy to help. And then, of course, I'm going to try to figure out something because we might do stuff at the facility because we were going to do that prior, but then COVID hit. Like, we were going to set up like a reactive daycare day where people could come in, do socialization, leave their dogs, and then we would continue it for the day, and then they'll pick up their dogs later, and then COVID happened. So, but we have plenty of space to do socialization at our place. It's just figuring out how we're going to do it now. Okay? Anything else? Okay, so